Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We don't have to bitch and moan about a Bucs loss. That's good. We got the Bolts coming up tonight on a 2-game heater. So we'll preview that with Casey Hudson at 11:15. The Seminoles may be jumping up in the polls. I don't know. We shall see, but they're certainly in playoff position. Tom Block, their sideline reporter, is going to join us at 10:30 this morning. And I believe we have Luke Easterling as well to talk some NFL football. Lots of stuff going on. Big stories in the NFL across the landscape. And you got to kind of makes you feel that it gave the Bucs a better chance to win the NFC. It was a good weekend for the Bucs. Thursday was not, but this was not a bad weekend. So we'll talk all about it here on the JP Peterson Show. Thanks you all so much for joining us. Say good morning to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you?
I'm doing good. The Bucs did not hurt me this weekend.
No.
They had literally they didn't have to hurt me, right? Got the bye week, but UCF football did hurt me. I went up to go watch another UCF game in Orlando, and when you have to leave with 10 minutes still to go on the clock, it didn't go well. It didn't go well.
Gator fans feel your pain.
Right. Gator fans, UCF fans, almost Miami fans by the skin of their very close for Miami. We were almost all hurting this weekend, but the Bucs did not hurt me.
Virginia. Oh, can't wait to see them in Tallahassee in a couple of weeks because all's good with FSU. But, you know, as we saw from Oklahoma Saturday, anything can happen on any given Saturday. And I don't think Pitt didn't put up much of a fight against Notre Dame.
No, and did you see the Narduzzi comments after?
No,
Holy
what did he
crap.
say?
He's like, we lost some really good players, and clearly we don't have we don't have the right ones, so we're gonna have to replace some people. And that comment did not go over well on Twitter. Like 8 or 10 players like quote tweeted it, like pretty dissatisfied with Pitt, and now they got to go play Florida State.
Yeah, that's not a good space to be in.
No,
if you're Pitt, but you know, isn't that interesting though? That you know, the coach can call out the players and the players go to Twitter and say, "Oh, I'm butthurt." You got your ass whipped. I mean, where's the personal responsibility? Oh, you're butthurt because your coach called you out because you didn't play hard and you got waxed and you embarrassed your university? I don't know. Maybe I need to see the Narduzzi comments more closely. I didn't see them. I read some of them. I didn't think they were out of line. I mean, he did take responsibility as the coaching staff as well.
He said we lost a lot of good players last year. We thought we'd replace them, and obviously we didn't do a good job with that.
All right,
was the full comment.
Yeah, you know, and I know he said they got to coach it a hell of a lot better. He took responsibility for that. Yeah, right. I mean,
and then you contrast that with the
you got your ass handed to you. You know, if it was a close game and there was some effort out there and you're the players and you're like, okay, listen, we gave it our best, coach. No, you didn't.
Yeah. And Deion Sanders did the same thing pretty bluntly, as he always is, about the offensive line. He said, the big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture. And I'm going to paint it perftly was the comment from Deion. And of course he got pushback for that one as well.
God,
you want honesty in college football. You want or in all sports, you want honesty, and then when you get it, everybody immediately runs to the Twitter machine to pick them apart.
The pussification of America continues. Oh, my coach said I'm not a good player. Oh, you're not. You know, go out there and play better. Play better. You know, I mean, these guys. Listen, heart makes up for a lot of deficiencies. I've seen that over my tenure in covering sports, that there's a lot of players I've seen, you know, Warwick Dunn, Derek Brooks, you know, that Muggsy Bogues maybe don't have the size or the speed or, you know, the quote physical ability to compete, but they find a way to do it. And, you know, I'm sorry, Pitt. I watched a little bit of that game and, you know, at points you quit and your coach calls you out. You got to be better. As long as the coach is taking, you know, the heat as well, I'm okay with it.
Right.
And, you know, now is Dion calling out his son? I saw his sons make some pretty bad plays over the past few weeks, so I hope he's being equally assertive on them. I mean, let's get it. Shedeur is a NFL prospect. I get it. Shiloh, I don't know. And I've seen him miss some tackles and really
disqualified from this game for an awful targeting call.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I hope Dion is as hard on him as he is on some of the other players. But I mean, now we're getting on coaches for saying they need better players and they need their players to play better. It's so funny because we do this too, right? We get on here after the Bills game and Bills Bucs games, and we're all about the coaches. The coaches aren't coaching these guys up because these players keep making the same mistakes over and over again. But I try to be also as pointed on the players as well. I mean, in the end, it is the players' fault that Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, and AW. I mean, if they're not on the same page, that's on them too. But coaches have to take that responsibility as well. When players are making the same mistakes, great coaches drill it into their head not to make that mistake again. Is that what's happening in practice? I don't know. I'm not there for the full practice, but what we're seeing on game day looks like a very undisciplined, ill-prepared team from the Buccaneers. Again, regressing as the season goes on, as other teams get tape on you and make adjustments. Are the Bucs making the requisite adjustments now with a 3-game losing streak, losing 4 of 5? Are they making same thing we saw last year for the most part? That's coaching. And it's very big deal in the NFL. Look at the matchups yesterday. Holy hell. The Broncos beat the Chiefs for the first time since 2015. The Panthers finally get a win against the Texans, who obviously the Bucs will see next week. And C.J. Stroud was very ordinary, threw for 140 yards.
Yeah, not
in
much
this game
action in the second half
against a terrible Panthers defense. Wow. I mean, so suddenly this seems like a very, not that it wasn't a winnable game before, but now it's like, okay, you need to win this game. Houston's not maybe as good as I thought they were. So even though that was a road game, the Houston will be at home. I get it. It's probably still, but we're breaking down the film of this Bills game and saying, good God, how are we even in this game? And I think a lot of people will look at that narrative and go, oh my God, if Chris Godwin gets his head around, we win this game. And that's true. You cannot deny it. But I also go back and look at the face mask penalty, the other 2 4th-down penalties that continued that last drive that got you within a score. If either one of those don't happen, the Bucs don't even get within 2 scores. Okay, right. Game's over. So let's make sure we understand. You gave up 427 yards in offense. You gave up 6.6 yards per play. My God. I mean, defense was atrocious in this game. And the offense, not much better. Save a short field in the last miracle drive. What did you do on offense against a very ordinary Bills defense now? So I'm not sitting here going crazy, but the bottom line is the Falcons lost Grady Jarrett. He's out with an ACL. He is a huge part of what they do. He's their Vita Vea. Okay. So Grady Jarrett going down is a big deal in Atlanta. All right, because their defense carries them. Now, what the hell's going on at quarterback? Desmond Ridder gets, quote, benched. He went out for a concussion protocol, but never came back in, and Taylor Heineke took over. Now they lose the game, so that's big. That's important as well. So here the Bucs stand. Back in what? Are they in first place, or the Saints?
No, the Saints won. They beat the
Saints
Colts, so the Saints got the 4-4. So the Bucs actually dropped to 3rd place in the division.
Right. Yeah, relatively speaking,
with a game in hand on the Saints.
Right. So you got that. That's the big thing right there. So, it's not, the standings really don't reflect where they're at in terms of Falcons now are 4-4, Saints are 4-4, the Bucs are 3-4, but they got to win over the Saints and they played 1 less game. So, all right. So then they got 2 left with the Panthers. Whatever. That's how big that loss was to the Falcons. So by the way, I mean, imagine sitting here at 5-3, right? Mm-hmm. Or no, 4-3, and the Falcons at 3
that
and
loss.
5.
That's the kind of loss that you get to the end of the year, and it's going to be tight. I think between these 3 teams, the Bucs, Falcons, and Saints, you're going to go back and look at week 7 against the Falcons as, man, you got to have that because now you got to go on the road in their place and try to get a win because you have to split against the Falcons. You can't drop 2 games in a row to the Falcons. And realistically, and I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off because you're asking a lot from this Bucs team, which I think is average right now at best.
Oh, yeah.
To beat both games or to beat the Panthers in both games who we're going to scrap, and you're assuming Bryce Young, you saw it a little bit yesterday, he's going to get better as the year goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to be easy. New Orleans, I know you beat them twice last year, but historically, at best, you split against them.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be easy. And look, going forward after these couple games, I mean, look at the Titans. The Titans have Will Levis at quarterback now, and he goes and puts on a historic game for a rookie quarterback. 4 touchdowns, gets the win. All of a sudden, the Titans, I mean, they look a lot different than when they had Tannehill in there.
Yeah, they
or
do.
Malik Willis. So that's not a
do.
gimme the way I'm looking at it. And I've already been saying the Colts are in every football game they play.
They are.
And they move the ball, and they fight. That's not going to be an easy game. So some of these games down the stretch, they look like gimmies at the beginning of the year. It's not exactly like that.
Well, there are no gimmies for this Buccaneers team.
Right. It's easy to look at a schedule and go win, win, win. But again, like you said, who had the Broncos beating the Chiefs yesterday?
Yeah.
The defense that gave up 70 to the Dolphins a few weeks ago doesn't allow the Chiefs to score a touchdown.
That's crazy. And right now the Chiefs look like a team that desperately needs a wide receiver. It last year, it just didn't seem, we thought it might matter, but it didn't matter down the stretch. MVS started playing well, and, they got the ball to McKinnon, who was making a lot of big plays. He really hasn't been part of their plan the last few weeks for whatever reason. Kelsey is, he's the guy, obviously. But you got to have a little bit more diversity on offense. So, and Mahomes had the flu. You don't know how bad. They didn't cancel the game. Somebody was sick.
I was just gonna say, and I don't want to go. I don't want to go down.
You want to quarantine everybody because
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, especially with you sitting in front of me. But I'm just gonna point out because I was just saying, I'm like, so hold on.
Wait a minute, didn't he get his flu shot and his vax at the same time, 2 and 1? Well, didn't I see that, or is that just Kelsey?
I'm just mainly saying, like, that not? How is that not? How is that not deemed irresponsible for a player to go out there with the flu? And it sounds like it's relatively a new illness, so he's probably in his, that period where you can infect other people. Yeah. And to go play a football game in close proximity to a lot of players.
Flu, though. Nobody dies.
I guess I just don't get the how that's responsible.
It's not. It's which makes you look back and go, what the F? Where we I don't know. But whatever. So he goes out and plays with the flu and infects everybody else. Nobody says a word. No, but a week to week league, man. It's a week to week league. So I look at this Bucs team and I'm like, man, how do you project it going forward? Well, if they don't make personnel changes, it's going to be the same old shit. I mean, if God forbid, if Matt Filer comes back and plays that position, then I'm like, then you're tanking. At this point, you're tanking. You're tanking without telling me you're tanking. If Robert Hainsey or Malk doesn't get replaced, you're tanking. If this is trade deadline week, if they don't go out and get a running back, then you're tanking.
I don't think they're going to, though. It's just not in Jason Licht's DNA historically to trade. He loves having those late round picks to kind of do those during the day of the draft. He loves to do those swaps.
Might get that Payne Durham. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? I just don't. I mean, everybody keeps talking about Rashad Penny, and listen, he continues to be a healthy scratch for the Eagles. They have no use
get
for
him
him.
For nothing.
You could trade a 7th round pick or a 7th round pick swap or something, and probably get him from Philly if you wanted to.
Yes, of course. I mean,
it's just interesting. I see running
you
backs
owe that to
the
the players. You owe it to the players.
Like, I see running backs that were like Darrell Henderson, for example, was sitting on the street 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And 2 games in a row, he's had some nice moments there for the Rams. And that guy was sitting on the streets. Like, why does every other team able to figure it out?
And I think it's because they feel like they believe in Rachaad White. And listen, he had some better moments last game. No question about it. Especially better in the but what happens if Rachaad White gets hurt? You got Keyshawn Vaughn and Sean Taylor. And Sean Tucker and
Edmonds. I looked back at the film.
Chase Edmonds?
He did not make the most of his opportunity.
No,
he had a rough one.
No, he's got he's not whatever injury, that knee or whatever, just doesn't have his burst back yet. So he's not. I mean, if it costs you nothing to go get the guy, and that just means that somebody may go down to the practice squad that's nobody's picking up. Nobody's picking up Keyshawn Vaughn. Come on. Yeah, I just think you got to make a move. You got to make some moves. And first and foremost, and I would do this in a heartbeat, unless Servassier Dennis is hurt or they feel like he's completely clueless. I'm at least giving him 2 or 3 series a game, because Devin White is just awful. He is just awful. I mean, he made 2 or 3 plays in that game, maybe, and so many others where he was targeted and just blocked with ease. I mean, just with ease. It's like he doesn't even try to get off blocks half the time. Like, not even trying. He's just catching guys and getting knocked out of the way. I mean, run around him. At worst case scenario, I know it's not fundamentally sound, but just sitting there catching a block every play they come at you is stupid. At least make the running back go one way or another. Don't just get, completely trashed as he does on almost every play he gets blocked. It's bad. So, but they're not going to do it. And that just tells me that, this coaching staff is not serious. It's more about playing your favorites, keeping your favorites on staff. That meritocracy doesn't matter. Like, if you're not doing the job, it's like, okay, don't worry about it. Last in the league and running. Sure. Come on back. Special teams, 27th in the league. Come on back. We're not going to hold anybody's feet to the fire here just because your job, you're not getting your job done. Get blocked I mean, if you're not replacing people or not demanding better play from them and getting it, then what are you doing as a coaching staff? It's not just about X's and O's. It's about a culture. It's about creating a winning culture. It's about personnel decisions, putting the best personnel in certain situations and holding people accountable if they're not playing well. That's a huge part of coaching. And
I just think the frustrating part and the general point with the defense, some of these players that continue to struggle and have these issues in games, is outside of Ryan Neal, who we would tell you at the front of the line needs to be the first one to be benched.
Yep.
Is these guys have been playing in the Todd Bowles system since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2019. This is if my math's correct, this is year 5 of Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, Evan White, and some others that are playing in the Todd Bowles defense. Mm-hmm. And we're having the same issues in year 5 over and over when Todd Bowles has to come and said, yeah, we busted it.
Yeah, we busted it.
And I remember last year whenever there was these issues and he was like, these are day one install type of things.
Yeah.
And that to me felt like code for, listen, it ain't me. Go talk to the players. Like, that's his way of saying, like, it's on the players at this point. And listen, I think there's some truth to that. These players are getting paid a lot of money. And I even saw, like, over the weekend, Richard Sherman, he pretty much went on a poignant little take there about Jamel Dean, like, getting paid a lot of money, and you got to house that one there down at the goal line.
Yeah.
Still a great play.
No, it's not a great play.
It's a good play. Yeah, take that back. It's a good play, but it becomes a great play if you house that and take it for 6. And those things honestly, aren't happening.
In that situation, it's not even a great play. You're sitting out there in the flat. It's your only responsibility is to take and you're responsible for about 10 yards of the field. And the quarterback literally rears up, looks right at you from the snap, doesn't even hitch, and throws the ball right to the guy, even though you're standing right there. And you can't jump that route and take it to the house? That's his. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, Mav. That's like in the original, right? Where they're trying to get Mav back engaged and they set him up for the kill and he still won't engage. Like, if you're not going to engage in an aggressive play and take that moment and opportunity, you never will.
Right.
You never will. And Richard Sherman's right. It doesn't get any better than that. He put it on a platter for you in a crucial part of the game. And you said, oh, it's 4th down. I'll just knock it down because I don't want to pick it. Because somebody told me that once. If it's 4th down, don't intercept it. Unless you have a pick 6 opportunity. Like situational football. Have some football IQ there, man. Snatch it and go. That's crazy. Yeah. But, of course, people would be like, oh, great play. No, it wasn't a great play.
No, it was a good play that could have became a great play.
Yeah. It's the most basic thing you could have done is knock it down. Like, if he doesn't move, the ball hits him in the helmet, for God's sakes. I mean, whatever. But these are the type of plays that you have to make if you're going to be a good football team. And these are the type of plays you have to make if you're making $15 million a year as a corner. Good God. The 7th round pick can do that. So these are all things that this Bucs team has got to be better at. And will they be this week against the Titans or against Houston? We'll see. We'll see. I don't have a lot of faith. I got to see some improvement in a lot of different areas, and I would like to see some personnel changes as well. So we'll see. All right. So I want to get to some of the other. We're going to talk some FSU with Tom Block. So over the weekend, obviously the biggest college game that we need to talk about was the Georgia-Florida game, and it's going to be called Georgia-Florida until Florida wins. Great start for Florida. They go right down the field. Mertz looks in charge. Great script. They're absolutely mauling the Georgia defense. And then you get to this point where it's 4th down, which it shouldn't have been 4th down. I don't know how the refs reversed that first down call. If you didn't see the play, I think it might have been Pearson runs or maybe Trey Wilson. He runs a slant for the first down, and literally the ball lands on the line. And then I guess Georgia challenged the spot, and they put it like a yard short. I'm like, a yard? First of all, he got the first down. Second of all, if it's anything, it's inches short. So then Florida decides we're going to go for it from our own 32, and I think it was still the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. And they run this play where Mertz comes up and acts like he's going to take the snap and do a quarterback sneak. They hike it through his legs to Etienne, who tries to roll out and throw the ball to Pearson, who's coming across the back. Great play design, by the way, especially in short yardage situation when everybody's crashing in. And somehow the Georgia corner is following him all the way through the backfield. Weird. Somehow they looked like they knew this play was coming. What in the name of Michigan was going on here? I mean, I've not like I know everybody on the Florida sideline went, wait a minute. And then the defensive end, instead of going for the quarterback sneak and crashing down, goes right to Etienne. Like he knew it was coming. That was a little suspect to me. I got it in this world that we live in now. I was like, wow. I think he saw the curveball coming there. Like, I think some Houston Astros crap's going on here. That was an eyebrow raiser. I'll just put it that way. And with all of Georgia's success, why don't we point the finger at them too? Why not, right? That was it was a stupid call by Napier. I just don't think it may not have made a difference in the game, but at least if you're staying in touch, you start to get pressure. Pressure starts to build on the favorite team, right? If longer Florida stays in it, makes a few plays, and then Georgia, the sphincter gets a little tight. And at that point, Georgia takes it in 2 plays later, and it's game over. And now Florida sits here with now 8-13 in their last 21 SEC games. That's their worst stretch since the 70s. Their 13 losses in the last 3 years is more than the entire Spurrier era. And you go look at Coach Sharkhumper, who got fired. He was 16-6 in the SEC and got fired. Muschamp was 17-15. And in the last 3 Georgia games with Florida, the score is 78-10 in the first half. That is unacceptable if you're the Florida Gators. That's unacceptable.
But let's be real. You look at those numbers, I think Billy Napier inherited a far worse situation.
I agree.
Than some of those head coaches.
I agree.
And we've said it at the beginning of the year, this is going to take time. Florida fans, and I think everybody needs to have patience with where this program is at. And I still think for where they sit right now, 5-3 through 8 games, you're 1 win away from getting bowl eligible, which I think is a major accomplishment, again, where this program was in year 2 now. Mm-hmm. And you got Arkansas this week, who is just completely lifeless right now. Take care of business, and you're bowl eligible. Look at that. In my opinion, that qualifies as a successful season, and then top 5 recruiting class next year coming in.
Exactly.
Florida's trending in the right direction. I don't hate the way they played against Georgia. I mean, I know 43-20 looks like a little bit of a lopsided scoreline, but I think the positives were Graham Mertz played well again.
Yeah,
He's continued to overseed expectations against not the Georgia defense from the last 2 years, but still a good unit. They ran the ball well. They only had one turnover. The time of possession wasn't like lopsided like crazy. I think it was like a 6-minute difference. At the end of the day, Georgia is the number one team in the nation. They haven't lost a football game since like 2021. I mean, talent eventually just won out in that one. But I don't hate the way Florida played. I think if you're a Florida fan, you look at this season, you probably are more upset with what happened a few weeks ago against Kentucky, getting routed by them on the road. That would bother me more if I'm a Florida fan than
I agree.
There's no shame in losing to Georgia. And like I said, your goals are still in front of you, and you're 5-3.
And here's the thing. Anybody who wants to fire Billy Napier after 2 years, then you lose your top 5 recruiting class. How stupid is that? Right. That's just ridiculous. You're not firing Billy Napier right now, nor should you even be thinking about it. You may not like a lot of his game decisions because, he feels that he's so under-talented, and out-talented when it comes to especially Georgia, which everybody is, by the way, when you play Georgia, that you just feel like you have to make desperate calls to win.
Take risk. I mean,
you got to take risks, and I do not disagree. May not in that particular situation. I may have waited a little bit further in the game because it was still obviously very much in reach. But regardless, he felt like he needed to do things like that, and felt like he had a great play nobody's ever seen. Oh, wait a minute, maybe they have. Who's scouting our practices? That was so. They got, but I agree with you 100%. Pick up, move on. Go get your bowl eligibility. Who knows? FSU comes in there. They're going to be undefeated most likely late in the season. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Anything can happen. It's a rivalry game, at Florida in Gainesville. Anything can happen. Just keep getting better.
Yeah.
And give
look at last year. If Anthony Richardson doesn't turn into a pumpkin
in
the fourth quarter against Florida State last year, that game might look a little bit differently.
That's right. 100%.
And that team wasn't as talented as this one, I don't think.
I agree with him. 100%. Pearson toasted FSU secondary. So
right, and he had a great game against Georgia as well.
Yeah. So I know Gator fans are despondent at this point, but I don't think you should be. We've gone. FSU went through this, and times look dark, and you question your head coach at times. Many people did. I did not. I thought Norvell was the answer. From probably after the Notre Dame game a year or two. That was a big.
Even through the 4-game losing streak in the Jacksonville State, you held on?
Yes, I did. Because you just know that it takes time. You got to,
right.
First of all, you got to take out the trash. And then you got to bring in some good, then you got to stock the cupboard. So it takes some time. And not as long as it used to, because now you have the portal and NIL. So, and he's done a great job with that. All right. In fact, quick break. When we come back, Tom Block is going to join us, FSU sideline reporter, and we'll go inside what's happening at FSU and what they have ahead of them. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. If your car has been totaled in an accident and you don't think you got a fair settlement, that's something that's right in their wheelhouse. Give them a call, free call, and find out if you have a case. They can put some money in your pocket. JEEVESLawgroup.com. Or Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and his crew will get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, get your immune system up and running. BAMMC.com. Get an appointment now. Back in 3 with Tom Block.
Sitting around the house. Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you You can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Patio. Hope you guys came out on Friday nights for our big Halloween spectacular, and with your hosts, Morticia and Gomez Adams. Do you see my costume?
I was going to say, whoever did the makeup job on you,
That was
and it looked like it was a pretty quick time, by the way.
Yeah.
Deserves a raise.
Yeah, that was Ashley. And she looked great as Morticia. She nailed that. Absolutely. Fantastic. So then we had fun at the Patio. Great weekend at the Patio. Big Georgia, Florida game and all the NFL. So make sure you head on out for Monday Night Football tonight. Head on out. Great place to watch the game. Under the palm trees and the stars, the outside bar at the Patio, the best in South Tampa. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Tom Block, sideline reporter and FSU radio icon. What's up, Tom? How are you, my friend?
Good, JP. I guess if you live long enough, maybe you get to be an icon. I
That's
appreciate
exactly.
that.
That's another word for old, and you've been doing it for a long time.
That's my point.
How are you, my friend? You're looking good. Sounding good.
I'm good, man. Things are good. As you know, it's always more enjoyable when the team you cover is doing well, and that's been the case the last year and a half, 2 years for FSU.
Yes, it is, and finally, hate to even say this, but finally beat Wake Forest after 3 straight. There were I think only 8 or 9 guys on this team that had beaten Wake Forest. So this was a long time coming, and I thought they played a really, really clean football game. And this team just seems to be getting better every week, Tom, and that's the most important thing, right?
It really is. What's telling about your point about finally beating Wake Forest? The last 2 times FSU played at Wake Forest, they were the underdog. So that tells you the state of the program and how far FSU's come. So it wasn't like it was an upset in 2017 or 2019 and 2021. Wake was actually favored. But yeah, to your point, this team has not been perfect this year, as we know, but they've been pretty doggone good along the way. And the thing that's been impressive is every game, starting with the LSU game, there's been a 10 or a 15-minute stretch, maybe a quarter and a half, where they just absolutely put the game away with a 24-0 run. I mean, in this game against Wake, it was 24-0. It was 10-7 early in the second quarter, and by half it's 34-7, and Wake's done. And they've done that against every opponent this year. everybody keeps saying, well, when could they do that for 4 quarters? I don't know that anybody does it for 4 quarters. The fact that they're able to do that, though, when it's winning time, so to speak, has been really impressive.
That's a great point. And they do it with complementary football, right? It's not just the offense. It's not just the defense, but now you have special teams kicking in with the Deuce Spann return a couple of weeks ago. And Travis, was fantastic yesterday. And then the defense, it's almost like, and this is, again, great football. During the game, the coaches are seeing what's going on, making the adjustments. And then, of course, you have the talent to make the needed adjustments. Sometimes if the team's just running on you and there's not much in there just bulldozing you, no adjustment's going to help you. But at least it seems like the Noles have the talent, and now the coaches have really dialed it in where they know what to do and what the answers are in each case. And that's why they go on these runs. Is that fair?
Yeah, and then experience too. I mean, it's talented experience with how many guys came back. It's all of those things. And, Florida State has been substituting liberally this year, more so than I can recall in a long time. Part of that is they have better depth, but part of it is a really intentional effort to keep their best guys fresh down the stretch. And I think that's a big reason why Florida State's been so dominant in the second half. And, I know Wake Forest outscored them the other day in the second half, but that game was over for both teams at halftime. We could have just, canceled the last 2 quarters. But, so sometimes when they've got second teamers in the first half, they give up a little yards. They might give up a few points, but then they make up for that on the back end when you're in the fourth quarter and Jared Verse and Patrick Payton are fresh and the other team's just not going anywhere. And the other thing, and I don't know where you could argue this one both ways, but there are times when they know the adjustment that's needed and they wait until halftime to implement it, because then the other team doesn't have as much time to find the counter to it. They've got to scramble and do it on the sideline instead of doing it half. So, sometimes you're going, man, this team is moving the ball on us and it's late second quarter. Well, they know the answer, but they're not going to pop that pill until halftime, and then they come out with the answer, and the other team has to adjust at some point. So, but it's been a good combination around. They're confident. They buy in and believe 100% in Norvell, and they really love the guy, And so it's been fun. It's been fun to watch the growth.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and dig into that. Obviously, early on there were a lot of anti-Norvellists out there. I wasn't one of them, as far as I can remember, because you got to give them time. Napier's going through this now in Florida, and we just got done telling Florida people just chill. You got the 5th best recruiting class. You fire him now, that goes away. So and I think Norvell gets high marks for really creating that family atmosphere, which I think you can really speak to.
Yeah, it's family atmosphere. I think what it is transparency too, though. There's no sugarcoating when guys come in and are looking at Florida State. He tells them straight up, this program's not for everyone. You're going to work, but if you work, here's what's going to happen. And so it's not, I'm going to promise you this number or that you're going to start or that sort of thing. You're buying into work. And I think that's particularly resonated well with the transfer portal guys, who already maybe went through their flash and loved being the high profile guy and didn't work out at their first school. And now they're like, okay, let me just go and let me get better as a football player. But the other thing is that Norvell is the same guy every day. So you don't, it's not a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Win or lose, every day he's got the same energy. I mean, players will tell you they'll say when we first met him, I didn't think this guy could really be this way every day. But, now here I am. It's day 365. He's exactly the same. It's year 3. He's the same guy every day.
Interesting.
And it obviously works, And we'll never know the answer to the question. It wasn't really a serious discussion for Florida State when Norvell was struggling because they didn't have the funds to pull the trigger and do anything different. So had they been flush, would it have been a more serious conversation? In today's day and age, probably, to your point about Florida and all that. But the reality is, you got to give a coach at least a couple of years to get their program and their players in. And we're just an impatient society,
Yeah, no question. And I think that COVID year, I think that bought him an extra year anyway, as well it should, because that was just a complete disaster. Tell me a little bit about where Jordan Travis is health-wise, and obviously on the field, he started to run a little bit more. He's just become a really, really good passer of the football. Where do you see Jordan is right now?
I think he's pretty good health-wise right now, with the caveat that whatever he's got going on there, to me, and I don't know, they don't talk about it. I don't know specifically what it is. It feels to me like he's got a little bit of instability in that one off shoulder, because it's bothered him for a couple of years, So if you're talking today, and I'm judging this based on how he ran against Wake Forest, seems like he's feeling fine. But he could take a hit at some point. He's not feeling so fine. So they've really been careful in trying to manage him with that, pick his spots. And, we're 2/3 of the way through the regular season, and so far it's worked out well. And I do think, though, as the running game has not been surprisingly, it's not been as good as what it was in prior years when FSU didn't have as good of parts and pieces as they have now.
Right.
So they do need Travis. They will need Travis to run in some of these games down the stretch. They just got to continue to manage that. And he's been a fun kid to watch grow. I mean, he went from no confidence and really almost a quarterback by default, right? And now he's become a guy that's such a leader, and he's going to be in the top 5, probably in the top 3 or 2 in every meaningful statistical category at Florida State by the time he's done.
Tom Block joining us here, FSU radio sideline man. Trey Benson had another big game, an 80-yard play on a screen pass. Keon Coleman has just been unbelievable. Talk a little bit about the plethora of offensive weapons that the Noles have developed now.
Well, the problem with Keon Coleman is that I was playing catch with my son yesterday, and now my son wants to catch everything with one hand. And I'm like, that's, he's not doing us any favors there about the fundamentals. But he's I mean, I don't know what to say about him. Every week there's a SportsCenter highlight there. It's a one-handed catch. It's hurdling a guy. It's just faking a guy out of his uniform. And he's, and the thing maybe people don't realize, he's totally bought in, and he's not a me guy. He's had a few games this year where he's had like 2 catches, right? And you don't even notice him necessarily. Now, it doesn't mean he's not a factor, because the other team is still committing 2 guys to cover him, but he's not complaining about not getting the ball. And at the time that they took him, I really thought they had bigger needs than another receiver. But watching him play, I can't argue, and what he's done with the offense, I can't argue at all that was the right call, And then Trey Benson, Benson, if he gets ahead of steam, nobody wants to step in front of him. You guys had him in Tampa, I guess, later in his career, but there's been some Fournette comparisons a little bit. I mean, the guy's 220, and they clocked him at 23 miles an hour or something on his long touchdown run earlier this month.
That's crazy.
And he's really worked to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a super likable, super good guy too. And when he got to FSU, he was at Oregon his first year, and he blew out his knee, but it wasn't just like a standard ACL. I mean, he blew the PCL, the MCL. I mean, like he did like 6 things in that. It was a horrific injury. Yeah. And he's come back from it, and just a really, really good player. And by the way, this will surprise you, JP, I'm sure, because it surprised me. He's the first player in the history of FSU's program to have both an 80-yard touchdown run and an 80-yard touchdown reception in his career, not just in a season. He did it both in the month of October, but he's the first FSU player ever. Yeah, I would have thought Warwick Dunn for sure, or somebody like that had done that. But yeah, he's the first one ever to do it.
Or Peter Warwick on an end around, although he didn't get that many carries, but Jesus, yeah. Yeah, 80-yard plays are special. Let's just be honest about that. To do both is something special.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, Pete might have done it on an 80-plus yard punt return and an 80-yard reception, but I guess he didn't have the 80-yard run,
Right, yeah,
but,
probably.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is Benson's the Wake coach just called it his post-game, he called it an all-star team, which is, in some respects it is. There's just really good skill players on that team.
Yeah, and they're fun to watch again. And now it's just a matter of, do they get tripped up? I kind of feel sorry for Pitt this week. This could get ugly, but then again, the ACC refs can keep anybody in a game. This is something I don't understand, Tom, for the life of me. And you've been through this as I have. We've watched we were there when the day, they decided to go into the ACC. And it's, and every team bitches, I guess, about officials. But it always seems to me, I watched the Florida-Georgia game, and I can see the SEC officials clearly know who's got a chance to win the national championship here. And we're going to make sure, not make sure, but you're not going to penalize the team, right? Whereas I look at even last game, I'm like, it's the spots of the ball, the stupid calls. I mean, it's like forever. I don't know if, you being an employee of the university, if you're at will to talk about this, but just the observations that some of these ACC, it's mind-boggling at times.
Well, I learned long ago that nobody's listening to what I say anyway, JP. So to your point, it is frustrating. I've always thought, the ACC, if you go to the ACC kickoff, they'll do a rules seminar with the head of officiating for the conference. And years ago, I went a few times in a row, and Doug Rhodes was who was in that position. He's deceased now, but he was in that position. And, it's a question and answer with the media, and they'll ask some questions. And, well, what if it's kind of a gray area? And his response is, when in doubt, throw the flag. And so that always stuck with me in my head, because when I watch like a Georgia-Florida game or an SEC game, I always view it as these officials take the approach, when in doubt, swallow the whistle. Right. And then you go back to the ACC, and it's like, well, that might have been a penalty. I mean, it was the receiver on the left side, 40 yards away from the play, but let's throw the holding flag anyway. And and as to now, I think that the ACC
that he would say that? Oh my God, that's like the worst possible mentality you can have as an official.
Yeah. Yeah, when in doubt, throw the flag. Well, you could throw a flag every play for holding, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. So I'm not a conspiracy guy that thinks they have meetings Monday morning now, to say, okay, we got FSU at Pitt this week. Now let's say, and they're watching tape and saying, let's be sure to call holding. I don't think they do that, but I do think that it's somewhere in there. It's been a protect the original ACC much more than protect whoever's got the chance to be the national stars of the year.
Yeah, I think it's subconscious like that. It's like, they were, anyway, but anyway, they shouldn't have a problem with Pitt this week. And then of course it's the home game against Miami. By the way, I need 3 tickets. It's just, this is going to be a freaking, and I hate to get one step ahead, but I don't think Miami's that good. I think they've proven that this year. They're not ready for prime time like this, but it is Miami and it is a big game. Do we have a time on that game yet, by the way?
I haven't seen it. If they announce 13 days out, it would come out by noon today, but they may hold it for 6. But we may know in a couple hours on that one. I haven't seen it yet, though.
Well, hopefully it's a night game, and it's going to be like the old days. I'm very much looking forward to it. Is there already a buzz about this game? Probably has been for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. There's been a buzz for a while about this one. And you're right. See, you're like me, JP. You came through during the wide right years, so you're forever scarred and forever going to respect Miami when they come in, regardless of. And that's exactly how I feel.
Absolutely.
I don't care if they're 1-6, if they're 7-0, if they're ranked 1 or ranked 133. Our hearts as Florida State folks, our hearts have been ripped out by Miami, so you better be ready to go. That's how I always feel about that game.
I mean, you smoked them last year, 45-3. They lost to Georgia Tech, for God's sakes. Although Georgia Tech came back and won yesterday, right? Or Saturday. It's just, I don't think, you shouldn't be worried about it, but they better be. And I know they'll have them ready. And to that point, are there guys that may be rested from an injury standpoint this week against Pitt? Anybody that probably needs a little bit of a blow this week?
I don't think there's anybody new from the Wake Forest game. Now, Norvell's about to have his press conference here in an hour or so, but I think FSU might be without Johnny Wilson again, and maybe without Hakeem Williams again, and then on the defensive line, I'm getting old. I'm thinking of the wrong name. I was going to say Dennis Briggs, but I was about to say Dennis Quinn, who was a first baseman about 20 years ago for FSU.
I do that all the time.
Yes.
Fisk is good. Everybody's good.
Say that again.
I said Fisk is good. Most of the guys up front are good.
To my knowledge, Verse went out of the game the other day, but he got stitches, and came back in and got 2 sacks. So that's not something. And Shaheem Brown went down, and I don't even know what that was, but he was back in either that series or certainly played the rest of the game until they pulled the first teamers out. So you never know if there's something lingering, but I'm not aware of anything at this point.
Well, I guess it's good to have a game like Pitt beforehand, where maybe you can rest some guys and get them ready for Miami if they are hurting. So it's fun to see it. I know Pat McAfee dogged FSU, saying, I think, there's been too many close games. And, a lot of FSU fans are upset about that. I'm like, no, I think that's fair. when you almost lose to Boston College, when you almost lose some of these games, I think it's fair for him to say, I think they might trip up. So use it as motivation and move forward. I don't think it changes anything. There's no dominant team this year. And as far as I could see, even watching Georgia this year, I think, I think FSU can hang with them. I'm not saying they're better than them. I'm just saying I think they can hang it. Flip a coin. Whoever plays better wins the game. I don't think they're going to be overmatched by anybody, even in the playoff. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. You always worry, and it's one of those things you can't control. College football, it's been this way for years, JP. Like, it's all a beauty contest, and so you end up rooting against other teams. We're all, FSU folks are rooting for Kansas the other day, not because they hate Oklahoma, but because it helps FSU, and then you're staying up late hoping Washington loses. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with what Pat McAfee said. At the end of the day, if Florida State wins out and gets to 13-0, wins a title, so there will be others who will stub their toe, and they will be in the conversation and get a chance to go play for it. I mean, that's all you can do is take care of your business. And, so far FSU's done that. Agreed.
All right, Tommy, appreciate your time. As always, you can find Tom at Tom Block on the X machine and always on the sidelines at any FSU game. And I will see you for Miami, my friend.
All right. And if I find 3, I'll let you know.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Right on the 50, please.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. He keeps a bunch of tickets in the back of the house. It's easy. That's why I call him. That's what they always think, Tom, right? Yeah. No, it's not that way, folks. But I am looking for 3, by the way. Anybody out there who's got some reasonably priced ones. So got to get Cullen's coming down. Ashley's going to the game. So we're going. Are you planning on going up, Nick? Do I need 5?
No, I'll be good. We've taken too many trips already. So the money well's getting a little bit thin right now, but we'll watch from home.
Funflation is what they call it now, right?
It's not great.
Great. Funflation. Every concert costs $1 gazillion, and every football game.
I'm also ashamed to say I spent $400 last night at the emergency vet. It was on the emergency vet because Riley had a little bit of a slip up, and we had to take.
What did he do?
It was $400. We were making homemade pizza, and Casey was in the living room, and I was in the bathroom, and he jumped up on the counter where the pizza was, and he ate part of the dough, the raw dough.
The raw dough.
And when that gets in their stomach, it like expands and everything, and it can be like pretty serious. Yeah. And he started like not feeling well. Like he was heavy breathing and everything. So he called and they said they needed to force him to vomit. So $400 though at the emergency vet for that.
Yikes. Yeah. We love our dogs, don't we?
Yeah. We'll do anything for them though. We'll do anything.
Yeah, we love our dogs. Yeah, I'm thinking about dog insurance now that Tally's 7. She had a limp the other day, a few months back, and she, I was like, okay, let's give it a couple days, and she was still limping. I'm like, and I felt a little lump under her leg, and I'm like, you're gonna have to take her in. Took her in, got the old X-rays done. $600 later, the next day, before I even gave her the anti-inflammatory medicine, the limp was gone. Yep. Just whatever it was went away. And $600 later, never even got the medicine. I'm like,
it's better though just to do it and not worry.
I know.
Is I guess the way I'm looking at it. So
all right, cool. All right, we'll take a quick break. Casey Hudson's going to join us at 11:15 to talk some Bolts. When do we got Luke? Is Luke coming up?
Yeah, Luke's coming on here after this break.
All right, Luke Easterling coming up. We're going to talk some NFL, some college football with Luke. Quick break. We are brought to you by The Patio, best place to watch the games, including Monday Night Football tonight. Who do we got? Lions and...
Oh, my goodness. Lions and... I'm blanking.
I forget. Anyway, Lions.
I'll come back with it.
Anyway, go see the Lions play somebody tonight at The Patio. Under the Stars, obviously, happy hour is 3 to 7, $30 off your beer and wine of the already low prices. Great place to hang out. It is The Patio. Back in 3 with Luke Easterling. Stay with us.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Gold and Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back. Yes, the entirely forgettable Las Vegas Raiders are the opposition for the Lions tonight. Lions and Raiders.
Is it Brian Hoyer playing again?
I think
really
so.
doing this?
I don't know. Don't they feel like just completely irrelevant? Like just the Raiders, really? The only fun is seeing like what 23-year-old hottie is going to be sitting with the awkward Mark Davis in the. I'd rather see those shots than the Taylor Swift shots myself, but that's just me. What a weirdo. Anyway, let's chat some NFL with our good friend Luke Easterling and also some college football as well. What's up, Luke? How are you?
Doing great, fellas. How are you?
Good. No Bucs this weekend, which gave us a chance to kind of look at some other teams around the NFL, and it was, again, another completely bizarre weekend in the No Freaking Logic League. What are you seeing as the trends that are developing here as we go through week 7 and 8, etc.?
I mean, the best trend I feel like is the parity that everybody always talks about, but sometimes we just don't get it right. There's always a clear cut. These teams are this far ahead, and then there's the mediocre teams, and then you got a few bad ones at the end. But I mean, not only do we not have any undefeated teams left, we got one team left with one loss. So I mean, it was a lot of fun to sit back and watch Red Zone all day yesterday and to see, a lot of close games, a lot of games where teams that shouldn't have been in games were. I mean, just the change, just as an example, last week, the Baltimore Ravens ran the Detroit Lions out of the building after we were convinced that obviously the Detroit Lions were one of the best teams in football.
Right.
Maybe they're going to the Super Bowl, and the Ravens run them out of the building. This week, the Ravens had to hold on against the Cardinals. There were so many things yesterday. I mean, you see what's happening in San Francisco. They start 5-0. They drop 3 in a row, and the Bengals, who looked like garbage at the beginning of the season and couldn't do anything, they go to San Francisco and they win on the road in that game. I mean, it was so much fun to sit back yesterday and watch a lot of entertaining football. I even thought the college slate was actually a lot better than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
I thought there were so many entertaining games there as well, even though some of it weren't as many upsets outright, but I thought a lot of those games were more competitive. But I don't know, man. As a fan of just the game in general, it was a great weekend to not have my team playing, so I could just sit back and enjoy the drama. It's more fun to do that after the Bucs win earlier in the week, but it was still a nice, fairly stress-free Sunday to just sit back and watch Chris Hansen do his thing. Or Scott Hansen, whatever his name is.
Scott, yes. Our boy Scott, yes.
You mentioned San Francisco, and you're right. I mean, they completely different team the last 3 weeks. What you're seeing, is it Brock Purdy? Is he regressing to his means before our eyes? Is it the loss of DeMeco Ryans catching up to that defense, which has looked ordinary? What do you think is the main problem right now with San Francisco?
I think it's a little bit of everything, and I'll say right off the bat, Brock Purdy shouldn't have been on the field on Sunday.
Yes, agreed.
That was, negligence. Whatever word you want to use, lack of institutional control, whatever. Irresponsible is the word I would use. Whatever flaw in the process allowed him to be on the field, and you saw him get hit again at the end of the game, and he's holding his head immediately after getting hit. And he says, that's just. I get it. I played the game. I grew up, through the 80s and 90s when it was still, hey, rub some dirt in it, go out there if you're.
How many fingers?
The whole Ronnie Lott cutting his finger off and Jack Youngblood playing with a broken leg. I'm happy to say, even again, as somebody who loves this game and even gets mad when Shiloh Sanders gets ejected for the cleanest hit I've ever seen in my life. There are still elements of what's happening that make me kind of yearn for the older game, because there were some things that I feel like hats shouldn't change. But at the end of the day, I'm also, I'm a parent. I'm somebody who played this game and is grateful to not have as many regrets as I think a lot of other people do. But all that to say, the whole player safety thing right now is BS when a guy can get back on the field after 6 days after concussion, and that just, it pisses me off, because I do love the game, and I think it needs to protect its players from themselves, from the coaching staff, from the incessant competitive need to win at all costs. Because you guys know, JP, you know so many former players like I do, and what happens to these guys and how the league treats them afterwards or doesn't. That's the stuff I think about when I see a guy like Brock Purdy out there too early, clearly not himself, and getting hurt again. It really just pisses me off. I don't know if that answered your question, Nick.
No.
What's wrong with the 49ers?
Well, no, because I was going to...
All of the above.
Because you took away what I kind of said about Purdy. It's like, I know
it's Purdy.
Sports radio, everybody loves to just bang on Purdy whenever they're waiting for him to have these slip-ups, but he played well last week before he got the concussion against Minnesota. Then he threw 2 picks. And then in this game, he goes out there and he throws 2 more picks, doesn't look like himself, gets hurt again. It kind of looks like the Tua situation, and it's like...
Exactly.
I know he's an easy target now, but, he clearly was concussed.
Yeah, and there, like you said, there's some other things. If you go back to the offseason, I think, obviously, the loss of DeMeco Ryans was huge. I don't think their secondary is as good as we thought it could be. The pass rush is just not getting home either. Bosa had a couple of nice plays, but the rest of that unit's just not getting home. And you look at the injuries. You don't have Deebo Samuel out there. Trent Williams has been banged up even when he's been in the lineup. They lost Mike McGlinchey in the offseason, so they have kind of a turnstile at right tackle right now. There's a lot of off-season things. There's a lot of in-season things that are all kind of conspiring to be a perfect storm for San Francisco. And again, it just reminds you, I got in, a Twitter argument that I tell myself I'm never going to get into, right? But somebody's trying to tell me that, the NFC South is already gone. Bucs have no shot. The Falcons have such an easy run the rest of the way. And I always, I feel like I'm a fairly reasonable human being, and I try to remind people this is a week-to-week league. You can't just look at the last 2 weeks even, and I'm frustrated with the Bucs in a lot of ways, but you can't look at what's going on and say, you can't look at, again, the Ravens beating the tar out of the Lions and then struggling to beat the Cardinals, and then look at the Falcons playing the way they played the last few weeks, and then they can't beat Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans in his first start. They gave up 4 touchdown passes. So it is a week-to-week league. I think for the general NFL fan, that's a lot of fun. I think if you're a diehard fan of your team, it's maddening and frustrating.
Well, and let's dig in on the Bucs a little bit. And I know you watch the tape like I do, and this Bills tape is just, at least in my mind, pure trash. There's so much bad stuff on that tape for the Buccaneers, and it feels like they're regressing now as we go through the season, very much like what we saw last year. And I can't help but think that's got to be culture and coaching. I see a lot of guys out there playing that shouldn't be playing, and I'll start with Devin White. It's bad, and I know it can be fixed. But you got to make some personnel changes, and these guys got to play better. They got to be smarter. They got to, situationally, they've got to play better. Jamel Dean should not be knocking down that ball and 4th down. It's my God, he threw it right to you. You don't even have to jump the route. Just take a step forward and put your hands out and walk into the end zone. And these are just, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is just, guys, K-Dot and catches the ball on the sideline in a 2-minute drill and a yard away from the out of bounds and turns inside. It's just like, what? Like, do they practice at all? Do they coach them at all? Or am I just being too hard on them?
I mean, I don't think it's too hard. I think obviously, it's a different experience to watch the games like we do than to play in them. I understand that, and I'll try to have some understanding for that. But that's also what they get paid to do, and that's what we get paid to do. So it is what it is. I think big picture, pulling out a little bit. I think the offense is still my biggest frustration because there's so many, and I understand you got a rookie play caller. I get it. We're halfway through the season. It's time to get the let out. It's time to have ironed out all those issues. It's time you're running out of time for that to be an excuse anymore. You hear the adage all the time when they talk about rookies. When you're 8 weeks into the season, you're not a rookie anymore. Right. Hey, you've been here, you've been playing on the field. All that crap's out the window. So I feel the same about Dave Canales. I was as hopeful as anybody, and all the things I wrote in the offseason at Athlon Sports about, the Bucs surprising people, which again, I still think they are, and I still think they will continue to a large degree. But this offense has been, like you said, as disjointed as it was last year.
Yes.
And there's just no excuse for that. I mean, when you look at, yes, the offensive line has a lot of moving parts, and they're still trying to gel and figure it out, and they're implementing a whole new scheme and trying to learn. Yeah, I get all that. At the end of the day, football is football, and 8 weeks into the season, some of the problems that they're having with being able to not run the ball, some of the, again, I go back to the Atlanta game, the sequence at the end that led to the game-tying field goal was one of the most confusing play calling sequences I've ever seen in my entire life from an offensive coordinator. And that, again, may be just inexperience. Canales hasn't been in that chair to make those calls, but you've got 3 downs, goal to go, and you need to force timeouts, and you throw the ball 3 times and you get sacked on 3rd down. If you had lost yardage on 2 run plays, it would have been better because you forced them to take 2 timeouts, and then they don't have them for the ensuing drive, and you go to overtime. So there's so many things.
But isn't that also on the head coach as far as game management? Because in the same game, Atlanta's getting the ball in the second half. They have the ball at, I think they were now inside the 25 with all 3 timeouts with about 2:20 to play. At that point, you say, okay, they have enough time to do whatever they're going to do offensively. I got to steal the possession. I got to start using my timeouts on defense now. And this joker takes 3 timeouts to the halftime again and allows the other team to steal the possession to the second half. I mean, this is basic coaching stuff that we're just – I mean, you know it. I know it. We don't get paid $7 million a year to implement it. Why can't they do this stuff? God.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine, man. And Nick brought something up earlier. I was listening to the show that I wanted to point out because I wrote about this back in August. The defense, for all the problems that the offense is having, and again, Baker Mayfield has been decent, if not, again, he's not turning the ball over, which is good, but I know he's a little banged up, but he just needs to be better. He's got to make certain throws. He's got to make certain plays. Mike Evans got to stop dropping passes. I love Mike Evans till, from here to Galveston, Texas, but he's got to catch the football. There's so many things, and the personnel changes you mentioned, all that's got to happen. I think the thing that bothers me maybe the most with this team, because you can make the excuses for the offense. You got the rookie play caller. Right. You got the offensive line moving around. You got a new quarterback. You got all these things you're trying to figure out. I wrote back in August at Athlon Sports about how many excuses this Bucs defense does not have anymore. And I specifically mentioned something that Nick brought up earlier, which is the fact that 6 of Tampa Bay's defensive starters this year have been with Todd Bowles since he got here in 2019. More than half of your defensive starters have been in this scheme for 4 or 5. This is year 5 now in this scheme. And if I have to hear one more time about a miscommunication or a blown coverage or we got to do this better, no. You have been in this defense so long, I don't want to hear it. Because you know what? A lot of other teams can pull it off in a lot less than 5 years. Yes. Okay, and with a lot less talent and with a lot less money spent on that side of the ball. You mentioned some of the personnel changes. I agree. Some guys are playing themselves into an offseason. Devin White is definitely one of those guys. They are absolutely, if I had to put money on it, they're looking ahead to that 3rd-round pick in 2025 they're going to get because someone else is going to pay him a lot of money in the offseason. They're not going to give him whatever he's asking for, 20. He's not going to get anywhere near that. But
you think with that film, somebody's going to pay him? I mean, they can, Pete, you can talk all you, I know every time some announcer gets to Kirk Herbstreit, they've got the best linebacker. Devin White's one of the great. I'm like, did you watch any film of the Atlanta game? I mean, like, and I respect Kirk Herbstreit, but I hear it every week. I'm like, what are you guys watching? Like, and that's not personal. I love Devin. I was hoping that he would get his crap together this year.
Yeah, 100%.
I've never seen a linebacker catch more guards and tackles. Like, I mean, he's like Johnny Bench. It's unbelievable. He can't get off a block. Yeah. And he's supposed to be this super duper guy. He can't run around one, can't get off one. I'm like, second play of the Bills game. Here comes the lead right at you. Quarterback draw. You got, and it's, this huge hole opens up and it's like, we're coming at you 45. And he's like, okay, well, I'll just knock me back here 15 yards. I'll be fine. Sure. I don't know.
I think what happened with Devin is that he made the greatest and worst thing ever happen when he played the best football of his life in the playoffs in 2020, because everybody saw that. And not everybody sees the 1 o'clock kickoff everywhere in between. So, I mean, he played like the best linebacker in football for those 4 weeks, and it was awesome. And the Bucs got a ring out of it, and I'm super stoked about that, and that's fine. But the 98% of the other film has been inconsistent at best. He's had some splash moments, most of which have been earlier in his career. But, I mean, the totality of his film, if he had played like that guy, that guy gets $20 million a year. That's fine. But he was only that guy for that month. And we've been begging to see that on a more consistent basis, and it just hasn't happened.
But the worst part about it, sorry, Nick, is like it feels like the teams are targeting him in the run game. The Eagles did, and in the pass game. Am I misreading the tape on that? It's like it feels like they're targeting him.
Right, and from an offensive standpoint, when you scheme stuff up, the term is in conflict, right? You want to put a defender in conflict. You want to have him choosing between one thing or another. And I would not be shocked if when people bring up that film, they're like, 45 is the guy. Let's make sure he's in conflict. Make sure he's going to have to make a decision on the fly that forces him to either chase the quarterback or let Tyler Algier run past him 45 yards for a catch, because he's probably going to do that. I mean, again, this is not personal.
It's not at all.
It's frustrating because we love the team. We want them to be successful, and it's frustrating to see these things happen consistently. And again, it's not just like he's not a young guy anymore. He's been in the same defense his whole career in Tampa Bay. These things just should not be happening. And that's the kind of thing that makes a general manager, I'm assuming, decide this is not a guy we have to break the bank for, especially when there are guys that you should do that for. Justin Wirf's going to get paid. Antoine Winfield's going to get blank check. Those guys are going to get paid, and that money's got to come from somewhere. It's going to come from going to find a new linebacker.
And to the offense again, the other issues, what they are, we get it. The run game, rookie play caller, offensive line shuffling. Can I simplify it to, okay, they have all these issues, and there's some quarterbacks in this league, not many of them, that are able to overcome a lot of things and continue to play well and win games. And there's a very short list of those guys. And is it just as simple as Baker Mayfield? He ain't good enough to do that. And now that they no longer are a balanced football team, now they're throwing more. And he's 1-11 in his career when they throw 40-plus times. He's done that in back-to-back games now, and you saw the product. Is it just – can I simplify it that he's just not good enough in this now with all the other issues going on to help them win?
Yeah, I mean, I think two things can be true at the same time. I think when we looked at what the scheme should have done, we watched Seattle last year. We watched what it did for Geno Smith, right? We're like, oh, well, they've got a, serviceable starter, and Baker can stay healthy and be like he was in whatever, like 2019 or 2020 when Browns went 11-5 and went to the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. And he went, he threw 26 touchdowns, 8 picks that year because he was actually healthy and had a decent supporting cast. That's all the stuff I wrote in the offseason. The scheme was supposed to fit nicely and allow him to be that player. The scheme was not supposed to make him a hero. It was not supposed to require of him to be the guy that overcomes 18 different things to lead you to victory, because he isn't that guy.
Right.
And I don't even know. His ego might not allow him to admit that, which I completely understand, having played the position before. But skill set wise, he's not that guy. That's not why he was brought here. He wasn't paid $4 million up to $8 million for this season to come in and do what Brady was expected to do last year, right? Which was, this thing sucks. Please save the day, GOAT. And he did a couple of times, which is shocking. But that wasn't supposed to be the plan, right? The scheme was supposed to make things easier on everybody, on the quarterback, on the receivers, on the offensive line. I ain't seen that yet. I would love to see the day that this scheme has made life easier for the offense, because it was supposed to, and it looked just as excruciating as it did last year, which is, again, just super frustrating as a fan.
He's Luke Easterling. You can find him at Luke Easterling on Twitter, on the X Machine, at Athlon Sports. Great stuff, Luke. Always appreciate you jumping on, and we'll do it again next week. Thanks, bud.
Hey, my pleasure, fellas. Take care.
All right. Luke Easterling talking a little football here. Love that. He really understands the game so well, and I'm always glad to get him on, especially to talk some Buccaneers and set people straight, for God's sakes. Yes, Baker Mayfield is never going to be the savior. He needs help, and now that he's not the savior, people are like, "Oh, Baker sucks."
That's a good point. He's making $4 million,
right?
Plus, I mean, incentives go up to $8 million, and I don't think he's going to hit those at this rate. But $4 million is what he was brought in for.
Right.
And now we have to throw out the entire game plan that we spent 6 months going for and saying, hey, Baker, now we need you to play like a number one pick that everyone expected you to be, even though the previous 5 years already told me that you're not that dude.
Not that guy. Right.
Again, Derek Carr's making $40 million. I expect him to take over a football game. Daniel Jones, $45 million. Take over a football game. Okay? And now you're asking Baker Mayfield to be that
$4 million guy, to be that guy. Yeah. No, that was never the plan. All right, let's talk some Bolts hockey with our good friend Casey Hudson, who joins us here. What's up, Casey? How are you? You gonna pop her up there? Hold on. Stand by for. There we go. Now we got you in there. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good. We've been talking a little bit of football this morning with Buccaneers and the college game this weekend, but now it's time to turn our attention to some hockey, where our Tampa Bay Lightning are now on a 2-game heater, 2 shutouts in a row by JoJo. And for at least for my money, these last 2 games have been their best of the season so far. What are your thoughts on what we saw the last couple?
Yeah, well, the most important thing that we saw from Tuesday's game to Thursday's game was their ability to carry the quality hockey that they played, and finally play well in front of Johansson, which was extremely important, because so many fans have just really thought, with Bassey being out, who knows what we're going to get from this guy. But statistically, and I think we talked about it last week, like, Johansson's been performing. It's been the guys in front of them. So their ability to pull together 60 minutes of quality hockey was important. The team playing better defensively, not just relying on the defensemen, but the two-way game from the forwards all the way through was really, really good. And they were the second team so far this season. I know it's early, so nobody get on me for it, but they were the second team to put up 6 goals on San Jose and keep their net entirely clean as well. So I thought that was a great momentum swing and confidence builder for them heading into tonight.
Yeah, and going back to the Carolina game, obviously they were, kind of on the end of a long rodeo, even though they got to go home before the game. But still, I like the way the Lightning played in that game. And finally, it just seemed like, all right, We're not going to be leaving the goaltender hanging out to dry. Where the defensemen were very, very responsible in what they were doing. And even last game they were as well. And I think the defenseman had 8 points total in that game against San Jose. And it's just you don't have to go all the way down, by the net in order to get into the play and to be part of the score sheet. And I think they're learning that. And Cooper switching up the defensive pairings obviously has worked out tremendously well. So they're starting to find themselves, I think. Is that fair?
I love the mix up that he did there, because when in certain circumstances, we got so used to seeing Chernak with Ryan McDonough, but when Chernak first got bumped up, he was playing with Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman's kind of that lead defenseman back there that takes the guy under his wing and gets them acclimated to the system. So Chernak being repaired with Victor Hedman has been tremendous, because Victor Hedman can be Victor Hedman with Chernak. And then Perbix and Sergachev, I didn't realize how well they would be together, but Perbix talked about it kind of last season. He's learned a lot from Sergachev. Both him and Radish. And so they have a rhythm where they're playing so in sync with one another. And everyone was giving Sergei crap, thinking that he's the one creating all these turnovers, and it really wasn't him. It was some really pathetic passes that were kind of accumulating and causing issues back there. So, and DeHaan's been solid. So I love the deep pairing changeup. I think that that's going to stand for them. And they're sticking consistently with the lines that they've done since last Tuesday versus Carolina. And it seems like that is starting to gel as well. I never saw Connor Sheary as a fourth line guy, but I think he helps those bottom six guys get even more involved, a lot more.
How do you evaluate the play so far of Alex Barré-Boulet on that top line? It kind of reminds me, maybe not the same play style, but remember about 5 years ago, they threw Vlad Nemesnikov on that top line with Kucherov, and he produced. And I'm hoping they can get the same output with Barré-Boulet. How do you see his play so far?
Funny you mentioned Nemesnikov, because there was a comparison there to the fact that when you play on that top line, you actually need a decent level of speed so that you can keep up with a Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, but it's more so the hockey IQ to create and receive passing lanes from those guys. So that's where the similarity is that Nemesnikov had a really good hockey IQ, and that's what is being said about ABB. And now he's being able to translate that hockey IQ at a fast pace. Now that he's getting used to Braden Point's pace and Nikita Kucherov's pace, we're seeing his hockey smarts come through. So he's able to set up a quality pass to Nikita Kucherov, and vice versa. Kuch trusts him to be in the right place in the right time for the pass. I loved his goal where he hit the 5-hole. He kind of slowed down a little bit, but you know that that's something that translated from practice and communication between that top line. So I'm surprised. I didn't expect ABB to really stick around thus far. I thought Watson was going to kind of have more of a commanding role because he's got more NHL experience. It seemed like they liked that physical theme at first, but now that ABB showed that he can be fast and smart, I think he's just secured his role with the team.
Casey Hudson joining us here. You can find her on the Believe Network. She's also the Tampa Bay Lightning reporter for Odyssey Sports and on BetQ Lap as well. You got some props for tonight's game against the Kraken coming in here? Maybe make us some money?
No pressure, JP. Please, nobody use their gas money or grocery money for anything that I say.
Bet responsibly. Please bet responsibly. No getting mad at the hosts. Yes.
Yeah, so Sergachev, actually, I like his props for block shots. They have him at an over 1.5 block shots at -150 with DraftKings. That should be a shoo-in.
Okay.
Seattle isn't exactly a high volume team, but they've got guys that know this system quite well, i.e. Yanni Gord, and I feel like there's going to be some big opportunities to come up with block shots, and Sergey's kind of led the way there. Nikita Kucherov and his point streaks, you can't go wrong if you can pick up an over half a point on Kuch.
Yep.
And then because of how well JJ has been performing between the pipes, I think they have his save total at over 28.5. I would take the over on that.
Okay, I'm writing all this
Those
down.
teams that we faced at home, they've put up at least an average of 30.5 shots on this team.
Yeah, but it's trending down, right? That's a good thing, but you never know, right? After a wild weekend, what will happen. We will see.
Did you guys see the video of the NBA player that went to his first hockey game?
No, I did not.
No.
Oh my gosh, it was a Phoenix Sun player. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because it'd be disrespectful, but it was the funniest thing. They put him on the glass and someone's like, "Do you know what you're watching?" He's like, "I know what icing is." And he kept pulling out his phone to try to record the plays, and they kept coming up, smashing against the ice, and he kept flinching. And then a fight broke out, and he's like, "Is that a real fight? Like a fight?"
No, they had. I know. Yeah, the MLB did that too. They had I think some football players come in and watch some of the
Eagles players.
The Eagles players, yeah, they went to the bank to watch one of the playoff games, and it was so like some of these guys are just clueless about baseball. Like they have no idea.
It's
like,
wild.
And I'm sure it's even worse with NBA players watching hockey. Oh my God, that's fantastic. I'll definitely have to go watch that for sure. I wanted to ask you about Vasilevsky showing up at practice this weekend. Were you there when it happened, when the ghost came out of the locker room?
No, I wasn't, but I was in communication with some of the guys that were there to get a heads up on how he looked and how he was stretching on the ice and stuff. But he was doing all the same warm-ups that he was doing in training camp yesterday at practice. So that's a really good sign because he's just a few weeks fresh off of surgery. So his normal little stretch routine on the ice and stuff, being able to show some mobility in that lower back, that was good. So it looks like he's on the same trajectory that they initially had him on. But what I love is, like, I don't think they need to rush him back.
No.
If Thanksgiving was kind of the return time, bring him back mid-December, maybe bring him in the second half of the season, because you're going to get a really fresh Vasilevsky. JJ's playing so well. And then I think they just need to change his workload. He's too used to being the guy who's constantly relied on, but he faces the most shots in the league and has the most starts out of any starting NHL goalie out there. And there's not a long-term solution to that.
Yeah. I think maybe that's what's brought on some of these back issues. You never know, but and that's partly on Vasi as well, because he never wants to not play, right? I mean, he just always wants to play. He's always been the hardest worker, but as you get older in life, you learn rest is your friend.
You got to change it up. It's like when Tom Brady came to the Bucs, like he taught all of those younger or mid-young guys like what they have to do and how much they have to focus on their bodies off the field. And I feel like the Lightning kind of need that same Yoda in the room for a second. You can't just because you're always good to go doesn't mean you have to, or else you better be at TB12 and on your avocado diet big time. He's not familiar with that, I'm sure. Like he basically said in media day, he was like, he's learning more about rehab and stuff. And you're thinking, this guy's been in the league for a hot minute, and you're just now learning how to properly, rehabilitate and stuff. That's kind of nerve-wracking. So Tom Brady, come chat with the team.
Yes, please do.
Hey, real quick off topic, I just have to ask that. You're an Arsenal fan, right, in the Premier League?
Oh, are you about to throw digs out? It's Monday, Nick. I
have no digs to throw. I am a long-suffering Manchester United fan who had to watch crap yesterday in a derby. Can you just tell me, what's it like being at the top? This has been a decade of just sitting mid-table. Now they're like 10th. They have to get a penalty save to beat freaking Copenhagen and not the Dip. It actually exists. It's a soccer team, JP. They got a last-minute penalty save to win them in the Champions League. I'm dying over here. What's it like to play proper football?
Okay, so it's bittersweet because, as you know, we were leading in points last season. We were completely killing it. Like, I was walking around completely unhinged and unhumble, and then all of a sudden they just fell apart at the end of the season, and then it was like, well, that's what the Gunners do. So we have to deal with that whole humility for an entire season situation, but it's fabulous. Saka, the goaltend, like the fact that we have goalies fighting over how much time they have and they're both fabulous is phenomenal for us, because then we're keeping our net clean. But yeah, I have to say, braggingly, I am very excited about this team, and I loved having a happy Saturday or Sunday to translate into Monday because we're killing it. But I can only say that so many times, Nick, before something starts to fall apart. Look, I hate Manchester United. I'm so sorry. But you guys are just in a tough spot. You have no scores. And then the guys that could potentially score for you, you guys have on these ridiculous extensions or transfer conversations. Like, there's just too much drama going on.
And we bench World Cup winners for 35-year-old players who were relegated last year.
But are you surprised? Did you see what they did to David Beckham? Like, that
I'm not surprised.
Has no
I'm never surprised. I came in as a fan at the wrong time. I've been a fan since like 2010, and I've seen crap my entire time here.
You're allowed to switch. We'll welcome you here.
You are welcome. You know what? I've also been a long-suffering Bucs fan for a while, and so I don't
just follow his misery. Don't follow his. Well, you had your Brady years, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got, and I'm good for the next decade.
Yeah,
you are welcome to become a Gunner at any point. But yeah, big Arsenal fan, and also Real Madrid, just because Sergio Ramos was one of my absolute favorite guys. Even though he's not there anymore, I still heavily root for them. And then now you've got Jude Bellingham, who's just killing it. I love everyone that betted for Barcelona to win. And look, I'm a big Stone fan. I was all for the fact that the Stones were supporting Barcelona, but I was never going with Barcelona winning that game. And Jude completely sealed the deal. Yeah. I will buy a Barcelona jersey with a Rolling Stones tongue on it, though.
Wow.
Yeah, Mick Jagger was there. They put all of their stuff, all of Barcelona stuff was to honor the Rolling Stones. But then, like, the top scorer for Real Madrid was this guy, Jude. So now it became a Beatles versus Rolling Stones thing. It was one of the most exciting games I've ever seen. And I was so happy and sad that the Rolling Stones were disrespected. But
are they part owners of Barcelona now? Are they just, what's their connection?
I don't know what that was about. Maybe just a show around the same time or something. It's like the David and Goliath of soccer, Spanish soccer, La Liga. You got Real Madrid versus Barcelona being the top two teams to attack each other.
I do have a promotional scarf from when the Rolling Stones were supposed to play at Raymond James Stadium and they got COVIDed. And then they came back like the next year. And it's a Rolling Stones and a Buccaneer logo on the same scarf. As far as I know, they weren't even supposed to do that. So, yeah, they gave them away to the media. So I'm sitting on that baby. That's pretty sweet. But we got before you go, just a real quick thought on, this Lightning team at this particular point. We're 3 weeks in, 4 weeks, a month in. And I think, I might even say they're a little bit ahead of schedule because of the play of JoJo. But I'm very optimistic. I'm sticking to my prediction that this will be a better team at the end of this year than they were at the end of last year.
I completely agree with that. I think that the right guys are getting situated at the right time. Heading into this season, I had a lot of, let's say, chips on the shoulder of Mikey Eyssimont and how his role will potentially expand with this team. And I'm loving what he's doing game by game by game. I think I've talked about him a lot over here as well. But, you're seeing different guys take on a larger role and having some reliability. And what happened with this team last season is bottom six weren't getting involved. Everything was relying on the top talent. Mm-hmm. And we kind of just saw a little bit of a gas out. When we can rely on other players on this roster, they're going to have a better road performance. So I'm excited to actually see what they do with this upcoming road trip. They're going to take on the Senators again. The Senators have now kind of exposed some of their weak spots. They're going to take on Toronto again. That's a game that they had in the bag and just completely gave up to their opponent. So getting these games back on the road is going to tell me a lot more about where this team stands. But I do think that they're a playoff team. Whether it's JJ or Bassi, they have enough going on behind them to protect their net. The defensive pairing shuffled up enough to where they now are gelling and finding confidence with each other. And then I like the lines that they have, but also they have a few other options to create different sparks. Brandon Hagel picked up where he left off. Anthony Cirelli is now a leader on this team. So I think getting the
Nick Paul's filling it up too. Nick Paul's playing terrific hockey.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say too much about Paul because last season he started off hot and then fizzled out in that second half. So my bigger thing is these guys being able to translate all the good into the second half of the season. But you're seeing a team that's still posting, a quality amount of goals. The only thing hindering them is making sure that they don't let up twice as many goals as they can score themselves. So now that you got Braden Point back in the scoring column, we know what kind of snowball effect that tends to have. Kucherov's points per game is already insane if you think about it. So I just want to see more out of, Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli's goals translating or assists picking back up. And then I still have a lot of hope for Connor Sheary. Yeah. Tyler Mott going out as early as he did, and I mean, we should see him back soon, but that kind of forced a few players to have to go into more of a defensive offensive role. So other guys that we brought in who can get on the scoreboard, they haven't even had that opportunity yet. So imagine when Mott gets back and he's a top four checker, a defensive offensive guy, and now you can let offensive players focus on the scoring aspect of the game. So I think that this team is going to take another stride when Tyler Mott comes back.
All right, Casey, great stuff. And next time you come on, I'm going to let you and Nick just speak whatever hell language you guys were talking. Like 90% of that shit, I had no idea what you were talking about. I was just nodding my head, but it sounded really, really good.
I saw you, and I could have been a real nerd about it because
I think you went full nerd on that. No, I think you did great.
Yeah. I'll be kind to Nick and his team too.
Yeah, you guys did great. You guys did great. All right. The Premier League hour is over. We're going to get back to talking a little bit of football right after this. Thanks. Appreciate you, Casey.
See you guys.
Great stuff. You can find her at the Sports Case on the X Machine as well, and all of her content on the Believe Network. So go check that out. All right, quick break. When we come back, looks like Chris Lugo's ready to join us. We'll have him jump in and talk about his Gators over the weekend. I'm sure he's very excited to do that as he shakes his head backstage. Quick break. We'll remind you to head on out to the patio tonight for the Lions and Raiders for Monday Night Football tonight. That'll be fun. Happy hour starts at 3 o'clock. $1 off your beer and wine. Beautiful place to watch football or any of the sports, the World Series, under the stars, under the palm trees there at the patio. Go check it out. 421 South MacDill. Back in 3. Stay with us. All fall is here. The holidays are coming, and the Golden Diamond Source will be your trusted jewelry destination as they have been for the past 4 decades. Yes, the Golden Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country, a literal jewelry supercenter with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. You don't have to spend any extra time waiting for them to have to bring something in or order something. Everything is in-house. And if you want to get shopping before the holidays, you can get low financing, start early, for up to 5 years. Looking for a pre-owned Rolex or one of those baller watches? They have a huge selection at the Golden Diamond Source, so go check those out as well. And of course, we always say keep it local. Great philanthropists, Julie and Steve Weintraub. Love those folks. Do so much for the community. So if you got to shop for jewelry, why not shop at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane, and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this this wonderful Monday. It's not even a bitch and moan Monday because we had to bitch and moan about the Bucs last week. So we'll have to wait till please not the next Monday.
In just a little bit, I'll have a little bitch and moan segment, but it won't be about the Bucs.
Okay.
It's about something else that irked me this weekend.
I just saw a story that assistant producer Ashley just sent me about. Did you see this about Adam Johnson? Killed?
Yeah, that was crazy over the weekend, and
the guy
sad.
and the player that hit him in the neck is evidently like the dirtiest player in the league, and people think that it was purposeful.
I'm not gonna go tell anybody to go watch the play.
Yeah,
because
I just
really,
watched it.
It's hard to watch, but let's just say if you saw it, it didn't look like an quote unquote accident.
No, it did not. Wow. All right. On that note, we'll bring in our good friend Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. And now you've seen some horrific things in your, I'm sure, life, especially in the military, my friend. But I don't think I've ever seen this on a field of play. Do you get him in? See in? Can you hear me? Hold on.
I didn't see the play. Which game was this?
I'll send it to you. It was a hockey game in the UK. Adam Johnson was playing in the UK, and this guy who's kind of an enforcer plays over there, literally takes his blade of the stick and slashes him in the throat and skate, and killed him. Yeah, he died. So yeah, it's gruesome. And he's like kicking him, right? Is that what you saw?
It almost looks like a kung fu type kick. Like it's weird. He kind of goes in for a hit, it looks like, but his leg goes like all the way up and like basically like kicks him.
Yeah,
in the throat.
Yeah, Matthew Petgrave is his name.
So he's going to be.
Oh my God! Yeah. Yeah, he's skating across the ice and just lifts him up like a kung fu kick and kicks him with his skate blade in the neck.
Yeah, he's going to be charged for murder.
They're not. They like at least it's manslaughter. So, wow, yeah, not that's kids. If you're playing hockey, do not kung fu kicks will be frowned upon, especially with the skate blade like that. That is just bananas. And at that point, there's probably no trauma help that's going to help when you cut that, right? That artery.
Yeah, you take out the jugular, you take out the carotid artery. There's usually no coming back from those guys.
Wow, that's what a horrible. Well, on another note, your Gators did not play well this weekend. Started well, and then you get a text from you. I'm like, but it started with so much promise. Did you go to the game?
That first 2 minutes of the game was great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Billy Napier might be on a short leash after this year. We'll see if he gets to year 25, but I don't know if he will or not.
Well, as I said earlier, he's got some protection. It's called a buyout of about $50 million and a number 5 recruiting class right now. So you fire the coach, you're going to lose most of that class, I would think. So I think you keep him on. I didn't like the 4th down call earlier in the game. I thought that was a little much, but that's the way things are these days. All these coaches are uber aggressive, and he probably thought he was completely overmatched from a talent standpoint and had to make something happen, and it backfired on him.
I didn't realize that Pearsall has a NFL tattoo on his elbow. That's pretty cocky.
Yeah, well,
he'll be playing in that league.
I think he will. I think he will.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think he will.
No, that's all for nothing.
Although I still have a little question about how Georgia knew that play was coming, that particular play, which I've never seen before. And I don't, and it's like they'd seen it before somewhere and knew it was coming. So I don't know what in the name of Jim Harbaugh was going on there, but
words out of my mouth right there.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, Don't worry. I think Napier will be fine. Maybe not long term. I don't know, but you got at least
unless he gets to turn around next year.
Well, he's got, recruiting is the name of the game, man. And that was Dan Mullen left you guys high and dry in that regard. And even Kirby Smart had a little comment after the game about the other guy didn't recruit very much or didn't want to recruit. He literally said that after the game. Kirby Smart did. So yeah. I think, I think that's true. Trust me. As an FSU fan, watching Jimbo Fisher stop recruiting the final year he was there, you really screw your team over when you do that. And I think the Gators are kind of paying the price for that right now. But have heart, my friend. They'll be back. All right, I got a question to ask you. Why the hell was Pat Mahomes playing NFL football yesterday with the flu?
Great question. Who knows?
Yeah, that's not very smart, right? For him or the guy he's playing against, right?
Well, when did he get diagnosed? Was he at the tail end of it? Was he at this could have been at the tail end of it for all we know? And and how bad was the flu for him? Just because it affects you bad doesn't mean it affects Nick or me. So everyone's going to get it a different way.
Did you see how bad he played? I think it was bad.
It was also like freezing there too.
Yes.
On top of it.
Yeah. Probably didn't help, but
yeah. Can you imagine that?
Unbelievable game, Super Bowl with that leg injury, right? So, he's played through a lot. I'll be honest with you.
I wanted to ask you about this in regards to sports injuries, and everybody's, keeping in touch of what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Achilles. And we're like 6 weeks removed from the Achilles surgery, and he's walking around. He doesn't look like he has like anything on, like a boot or anything. And now he's throwing before games. Now it's not like rigorous throwing. It's like he's just kind of standing in place, but now he's kind of doing like these little dropbacks and everything. The Jets are winning, and everybody's, hypothesizing that maybe he'll return at the end of the season. I mean, how, when it comes to an Achilles injury, is that something that seems possible?
I would say no. That's a tough injury to come back from pretty quickly. Look, it's one thing like Adrian Peterson coming back from an ACL. But Mike Evans is a prime example of anything in that posterior chain, that glute, that hamstring, that Achilles. Those are difficult to come back quickly. This is not like a hamstring, which is going to be a gnawing injury for the rest of his career. This will heal. It just takes time. And these are notoriously for 3 to 6 months for that thing to heal, because that thing contracts really quickly after it tears. And then it's got to slowly work that fibrous tendon back before it has elasticity to it again.
And is there anything like that's revolutionary? Because he said he's taking all these revolutionary measures and all this kind of stuff. Is there anything out there that you know of that kind of decreases that time away that he has to be?
BPC 157, body protection compound 157, which came out of Croatia some years back. That will help, definitely help that. Stem cells. That will probably help too. Probably using a little acupuncture, probably using some massage, everything they can do to get that thing back. Look, he might be a little bit of TRT. Actually, we know like Anavar or DEC, Nandrolone will help actually with those injuries too. I doubt he's getting drug tested at this point in time, and by the time he does get drug tested, that stuff will be out of his system. Better living through modern chemistry, as I would say.
It's so that's interesting. So when they're rehabbing an injury, are they allowed? They're allowed. Well, probably not allowed to use banned substances, but they can, and it'll just be out of their system. But it will help them recover.
I don't know the ins and outs on how their testing goes, so I can't give you that professional opinion on that. I'll probably tell you, look, he's not a guy that they probably are on their radar that they're worried about performing enhancing drugs right now.
Yeah, he's taking that ayahuasca. I don't know if that's a banned substance or not. So
the FDA just banned a whole bunch of peptides from us. I mean, there's a lot.
Did they really?
Yes, they did 2 weeks ago.
What is that?
A whole bunch of people scrambling to get peptides right now before they're gone. But the FDA just banned them. They put them in as category 2.
So all right. Explain that. What people were using them for? Why they might?
So the one I just gave you, body protection compound, BPC 157. A lot of people use those for injury or overall health. That's banned. CJC 1295, Ipamortin banned, CMAX banned. So peptides is just a big category, and under that category, they do different things. People like to call
why did they do that?
You want my honest opinion, my professional opinion? Big Pharma. Big Pharma is squeezing. They own the FDA right now. And we can even go back further about COVID and all the bullshit that goes along with that. But they're squeezing them down. They're probably going to try to take away the Simorelin, the semaglutide, tirzepatide, Ozempic in Mounjaro. They're probably going to try to squeeze them for that too soon.
Why? Because people are using them and losing weight and getting healthy. And, which, by the way, I'm down like 6 pounds now. Yeah. Since I started it 2-3 weeks ago. So it's working for people. And so Big Pharma wants to come in and stop it.
Yeah, they're not making money. They're not profiting from it. and who buys all those stocks? Yeah. Senators. Yeah, they all the inside scoop on that stuff. So
God, the stuff we learned from you. Thank you very much for being honest about that, because most will not be. I guess the flu is going around now. What is out there?
Rears its ugly head. As it's getting colder, it's going to start going around.
Yeah.
So just be cognizant of that, to wash our hands. Be around people who are coughing and sneezing. Just like, I think you learned a lot from COVID in that sense.
Yes,
like, hey,
in a good sense, yeah.
Don't be a jerk and don't be coughing on people. I was flying back from Arizona last week, and this guy next to me hacking and coughing right into his hand like this. And I'm like, dude, like, this means nothing. Like, what are you doing this for?
Yeah. Yeah. Put a handkerchief over your mouth. I mean,
or
do something.
Your shoulder, do something. Don't be a jackass.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people are that way. Yeah. So wash your hands. What about your immune system? I know, I'm taking my vitamin D, my vitamin C every day. What should be the regimen for folks, in this cold and flu season, as far as just keeping their immune system up?
Yeah, stay on top of that on the vitamin regimen. Make sure your gut is happy and healthy. I can't stress that enough. If you don't have a happy and healthy gut, you are assuming everything you're putting in your mouth is getting absorbed. But if you've got inflammation in that gut, you got dysbiosis going on. And some people's like, I just get bloated around. It's not a big deal. That bloat actually sometimes is a big deal. You could have parasites. You could have dysbiosis, SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. A lot of stuff making that gut not work so well. And the gut-brain barrier, huge. Your gut talks to your brain all the time. 90% of the nerve fibers go to your brain to talk to it. Only 10% come from your brain down to your gut. So if you don't assume that your gut is fine just because it's not hurting you. If you're bloated all the time, you look like you're in your second trimester of pregnancy, you got some issues going on.
So yeah, get your gut right.
Get your gut right. It's huge. Sauerkraut, kefir, kombucha, probiotics, prebiotics. Feed that gut. Keep those bacteria happy and healthy.
Do you have a probiotic that you recommend?
I use the ones from Thorne. That's my go-to. I use their stuff, and then I'll eat sauerkraut when I can. I'll drink kombucha when I can. Kefir, however you want to pronounce it. Yogurts. Those fermented foods are good for your gut.
Good to know. Nick, you got something?
These talks always scare me every time because I'm going through my history. I haven't been the greatest eater, admittedly, in the last month or two.
Well, you're young. I don't expect you to, but it's going to pay dividends if you start doing it now.
Right, and it's like
you make your wife happy.
Yeah, my wife, I get on to her sometimes because when she's cooking, I just come into the kitchen. I don't make requests. I just say, don't make anything exotic. I call anything that doesn't look normal to me exotic. And she actually made 2 meals that I would call exotic this week. It just gave them to me, and I actually enjoyed them. So I don't know.
Beef stroganoff is not exotic, okay? Like this. What did she make for you?
She made brown rice this week with a little pineapple, some type of bean, and some peppers with chicken on top. And I referred to that as exotic.
Okay, so it's not chicken nuggets and noodles for you. Good. Okay, good.
Cheeseburger.
And a cheeseburger. Good. You're expanding your palate, Nick. I like it. Good.
Oh, gosh. All right, Kiers, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you. I had one more question for you because I ran into this myself this weekend. I got a little overserved Friday night at the patio, and then so
I like how you worded that. Overserved.
A couple night. I had back-to-back drinking nights because we did the Jason Aldean concert, and I'm still feeling it 2 days later. How do you flush your system? Just waters. What are we doing here? The hangover regimen.
Glutathione. Get an IV. Get some extra glutathione in there.
Glutathione.
IVs are the best way to get rid of that stuff, and just to kind of detox, and then drink water and get your electrolytes in you too.
All right.
Because alcohol is impairing antidiuretic hormone. That's why you pee a lot. That's a diuretic, basically. You're making yourself dehydrated, so that's the crappy feeling that you're feeling. And then plus that alcohol, ETOH, ethyl alcohol, is toxic to the body. And as you're getting older, it's not the same, and your enzymes aren't breaking that alcohol molecule down, and that's why you feel like crap.
Yeah. My joints hurt. Like the joints really are like, man.
You're basically poisoning yourself. That's
you're old.
Yeah,
you're old and you can't hang anymore.
Nick, careful.
That's right.
Careful, Nick, careful.
He ain't lying.
One day you will be there.
We keep it real. We keep it real on this show, boss. He ain't lying.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, they can get you at BAMMC.com. Best way to get you?
Best way to get it, go online, book an appointment right from there.
Get your gut right, get everything else right. All right,
right.
And the weight's going down. So thank you, partner. It's working, even though they're going to ban it. We better order up some more before it gets banned, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it. Chris
Thanks,
Lugo,
guys,
Bay
for
Area
doing
Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. That's where to go. God, can you believe that? It's like, that's what our FDA does these days. Absolutely crazy. Everything's working. If it's working, stem cell, they did the same thing with stem cells. Stem cells are working for people. And of course, got to take that away from them as well. What a world we live in. What a wonderful world we live in.
Oh.
All right. We don't have time for another break. Not sure we need one, but big thanks to Bay Area Modern Medical Center, the Jeeves Law Group, Italiano Insurance. Get that insurance checkup, folks. Great way to save a lot of money. A lot of homeowners insurance, business insurance, auto insurance. Shop it around. People, sometimes these companies offer some lower rates to get you in. So at least for a year, you're going to pay less. So you might as well do it, right? If you can save a few $100s, a few $1,000s, it's worth it. So let them shop it around and find out for you and hopefully save you some money. And the Golden Diamond Source, the holidays are coming, folks. They're coming quick. November's almost here. So start doing your shopping early on. Don't wait till the end. Get a great deal. The Golden Diamond Source is the place to go. Obviously, they have the best prices, the best selection. Do that for yourself. And American Mortgage Services, if you're looking for a home right now, and I know rates are high, folks, but we had Scott Fitzgerald on last week, and they can do some things for you. Keep the numbers low, keep the fees low, and then when they hopefully when the interest rates come back down, they can refinance you at a what he said was a almost free rate. So that's what they're doing now. Find out what's going on. Give him a call. Just email him, scott@amstampa.com, and he'll tell you all about the different programs they have.
So I was going to tell you what I was upset about this weekend, JP.
Yes.
And this was going on while you were, I think, enjoying your Jason Aldean concert. Was we had a big fight this weekend in the boxing world.
We did. I saw some of the highlights.
Yeah. The Francis Ngannou Tyson Fury. First part of what I'm upset about. I appreciate the build up to a big fight. Yep. I do. But you know what I don't appreciate is for this fight, and this took place in Saudi Arabia, by the way, because apparently every big event has to be over there now.
Yep.
So they did what they called an opening ceremony for a fight, which is new for me. And they had Becky G, whatever a Becky G is, was out there. Lil Baby and like all these pyrotechnics and like just crazy. They literally were calling it on the ESPN broadcast the over the opening ceremony. And this thing took like 30 minutes to do. And this is when all the fights are already done. We're just waiting for this one. So we get done with that. Now we waited about, I clocked it, JP. 45 minutes after the opening ceremony. We had 45 minutes of time to kill to show all the celebrities that were in attendance and just talk about nonsense with this fight and get it on. We went almost 2 hours, if not 2 hours, in between the last fight before the main event that everybody waited to see. This fight did not start until like 6 something on this side, which if you do the math, that's past 1 o'clock in the morning in Saudi Arabia, which made no sense. So finally they get in the ring, and Francis Ngannou, never boxed before, goes up against the world heavyweight champion, the best heavyweight boxer of this century probably. And I'm here to tell you, he got robbed.
Yeah,
he got robbed.
What I heard. I didn't see the fight, but I heard.
It was obvious. I watched all 10 rounds. Francis Ngannou, I think, probably won 6 of them. He recorded the only knockdown of the entire fight, by the way, was Francis Ngannou. And then you have 3 judges. One of them that had a spine went for Ngannou. I think it was like 95-93 or whatever, something like that. But then you had one judge that scored at 96-93 Fury. I don't know what you're watching. The only logical thing here is this is typical protecting the heavyweight champion who's undefeated.
Boxing versus
we
NFC.
Can't have
UFC.
the MMA guy come in here and win, even though he did. And then in December, Fury has a big fight on the table worth tens of millions of dollars against Alexander Usyk, who was in attendance. And if he lost this fight, that fight was not going to happen. So we got to protect the next.
It's all about
fight.
money, man. Of course,
that's what it comes down to. But Francis Ngannou was
why
wrong.
boxing is a joke of a sport.
It's a joke. He outboxed the heavyweight champion.
Ever since the Bob Arums and the Don Kings got involved in this sport, it has just destroyed the sport because all they do is protect their fighters from good fights to just running up the money. It's not about who's best or who's better. All these judges are paid, and it's a complete. It's no different than wrestling. It's no different. It just appears to be different, but it's no different. That's ridiculous. I mean, just from the highlights that I saw, like Fury at the end of the fight was like he was wobbly.
There's not a scratch on Francis Ngannou's face today. Not a scratch.
And Fury was beat up. He was beat up. Yeah. Not shocking. Not shocking at all. No. All right. That'll do it for this Monday. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Our thanks to Casey Hudson, Luke Easterling, and Tom Block, who joined us. If you missed anything, some great conversations today. And James, by the way, who asked, am I concerned about Louisville in the ACC championship game? Yes, absolutely. They're a very interesting team, no doubt about it. Well coached, and we will hopefully see them in the ACC championship game. So we'll get to all the comments and questions tomorrow as well. Thanks, you guys, for commenting. We will see you tomorrow, same bad time, and Monday Night Football tonight. And I will see you at Emily Arena. Go Bolts. See you then.